This is TWiT.
We probably heard about Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Jane Dimon wanting to fix healthcare by unveiling yet an unnamed healthcare company that gives their U.S. workers and families a better option on healthcare insurance. So the statement said from the new company, it'll be free from profit-making incentives and constraints, but it'll essentially try to change the way healthcare works. Well, Amazon and Jeff Bezos is not stopping there. The retail giant is taking its price-chopping and consumer-friendly approach to prescription drugs as well. Just recently, they acquired a company called PillPack. PillPack is a startup that's regulatory approval to deliver medicines throughout the country, basically calling themselves telemedicine. Think about it. At Amazon's scale, it will allow them to negotiate prices in a way that the drug industry has never seen before. Now, tackling drug prices is not going to be easy. So the eventual price and consumer pays for a treatment is influenced by the opaque system of drug makers, as well as insurers, middlemen, like pharmacies. But with the combination of the new healthcare corporation and now this new pharmacy, Amazon may be laying out the foundation for disrupting the market. So, guys, I want to throw it over to you, starting with you, Cheebert. This is interesting because it seems like, you know, Amazon is basically taking a shot across the bow here. They're saying healthcare in this country is not doing well. We're going to make it better. We're going to start by doing it for just our companies, and we're going to move it on. Now we're going to go and target the pharmacy or the telemedicine side of things and say, hey, now we know this is a big bureaucracy, there's big issues. We're going to try to tackle it ourselves. Is this going to work? Like, are they going to be able to do what they've done with Amazon and just retail with pharmacy as well?
I don't see why not. I actually took a really hard look at PillPack probably 2-3 years ago. And the whole idea is by centralizing it in one place, you're not paying for the secure shipping, you're not paying for the warehousing at every single location. So say for instance, I go to CVS. The cost of having the pharmacist plus the stocking plus the security and all this other stuff, plus the regulatory issues, means that CVS or Walgreens or whoever has to pay that for every single location. Now, if you have a large warehouse where you only have to, provide security for one single area, you only have to have pharmacists approving things so that they're more desk workers rather than bottle fillers. You're also using a less expensive way of packaging. So those bottles, those things are pretty expensive. They don't recycle well because they're not type 1 or type 2 plastic. And it was great. In fact, I took a look at PillPack originally because they were a TWiT sponsor way back when. And I thought, okay, let me take a look at it. And I thought, gee, being able to have these little spools of prepackaged pills looks like a really great way, especially since I was traveling so much in those days. And I know Curtis goes and shoves his pills into little Ziplocs. Because these are going to be like foil or plastic lined paper with your day and time and so forth printed on them, it could go a very long way, especially to the geriatric crowd that, have I taken my pills today? I don't remember. So it's got some really, really good things for the consumer. It's got a way of reducing the cost of prescription drugs because they're not having to duplicate the really expensive pieces at every single location. And a lot of people say, well, but you're going to mail them. It's like, yeah, but the U.S. mail is actually really, really secure. Their investigative arm actually has a better closure rate than a lot of other law enforcement groups. In fact, the U.S. Postal Service is secure enough that under certain controlled conditions, you're allowed to send classified material through the U.S. mail. So in my mind, those are the real big objections that a lot of people have about pill packers in general as a generic term. And I like the idea. I like the idea that Amazon's buying power can make a really big difference because my prescription drug bill, even though most of my pills are generic finally, I still have some that aren't. And I'd really like to have someone like Amazon be able to drive the price down of my non-generic items so that they're more affordable, especially as I start getting older and I'm getting ready to retire.
Right. Well, you kind of brought this up a little bit. I'm going to throw it over to Courage because I think you brought up, hey, you already put your pills in plastic bags. You already kind of separate them. Why not just deal with the generics, the vacuum seal bags? But do you think that this is also a crowded market? Because there's a ton of other telemedicine kind of organizations out there. There's Resolution RX, Simple Meds, Pack Plus. Is Amazon going to be able to make enough disruption in the industry in order to kind of call it to stamp it the Amazon way? Is it going to be something that people are going to want more of?
Well, I think that Amazon's key to success in this rests on one thing, and that is forming an alliance with at least one of the major insurers. Because I know that there are a couple of the insurers who have their own captive mail order pharmacies, and they have some fairly substantial incentives for their customers to get their pills, get their medications from the mail order pharmacy rather than from their local CVS. Now, as you point out, when I travel, I tend to package up my medication into little Ziploc bags. With that said, I'm not completely sold on the idea of mail order. I like having a relationship with a local pharmacist because I happen to be on a cocktail of things, and so if I if I have some congestion and want to take a over-the-counter medication, I like having someone that I can go and ask, hey, how will this respond with my current medications? I like having someone who keeps an eye on my medications so that if the different docs prescribe things, they can say, hey, let me call your doc because this one thing Dr. A prescribed is going to interact with something that Dr. B has you on. It's a tricky thing. As Brian pointed out, this is we're down to a handful of huge pharmaceutical companies in the country as it is, the Walgreens, the CVS. Having Amazon in that marketplace makes a certain amount of sense. But this is one of those things that is largely sort of last mile regulated by the states rather than the federal government. And there are still a fair number of medications that you must get in person. A lot of the painkillers, especially the really effective painkillers, fall into that category. I happen to have friends, so I know that there are things like anti-seizure medications that fall into that category. And then there are just the medications that many people are on, especially today, like insulin, that have to be refrigerated until they're used. So it's complicated, but I agree with Brian. I think it's great that there is a large player getting in like this because that has the opportunity to drive the costs down. And once one player gets lowered costs, the others tend to ride those coattails.